Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy hump day. Thanks for coming over to the DFS 5-pack button, and preemptively, thanks for pounding that like button. I forgot to mention this to you when we were doing members only. I was kind of thinking about just like with the way the slates break down lately. It was so easy to triple stud last night. Like with if you want whoever you went with, like Giannis, Harden, Jokic, and all those guys. Like I feel like last year, like these guys were more continuously up, like closer to the 12K mark, and it was just a lot harder to get three of those guys into one lineup.
Yeah, I agree with you. Triple studding has definitely been a thing this year, and it was last night, no doubt about it.
Like I liked Jokic, Giannis, and Harden, and for a while during the day, I'm like, I don't think I can fit all three of these dudes in my lineup. And it was like by the end of the day, it was easy peasy. So, all right, guys. So we got another interesting slate tonight. Obviously, everybody's looking at the Spurs. We made the cover boy a Spurs player today. There's a lot to talk about over there. If you want the full breakdown, check out the members only video. But we are here to talk through our main plays for the day. Just want to reiterate, we got a lot of monthly specials going on for monthly customers right now. Sign up today, get a $20 rebate on month one, which basically means your next month is only $10. You'll be set and ready to go next month. Monthly customers will get in baseball and basketball. You have access to Discord now, and get in before the price raise comes up, and you can keep that price tag for as long as you want it. Subscribe to the station if you're new to it, and as always, click that thumbs up button. So I think the big elephant in the room today is the San Antonio Spurs. They're only, I think, about 8-9 deep on players today. A full player list will come out later. We're still waiting on news with LaMarcus Aldridge. And while they do have a bunch of value plays, I am interested in their best player, which is DeJounte Murray with DeMar DeRozan not around today. He should have huge usage, right? There's also no Derek White, which means this is really going to be the Murray show. Even if Aldridge plays tonight, Aldridge hasn't played in 3 or 4 weeks or whatever it's been. It's been a while. So I expect Murray to have an insanely high usage rate tonight. And I think one of my favorite things about the Spurs guys today, they're not playing the Clippers. They're not playing the Jazz. They're playing a below average Oklahoma City Thunder team right here. So you expect them, at least the odds of them playing better here are higher than they would be if they were in Philly, for example. So I expect Murray to get plenty of love today, and he is their best player. So I like him in the point guard spot.
Yeah, I'm with you all around. I mean, the Spurs are actually 1-point favorites in this game now. So tells you all you need to know. I expect this game to be close. Vegas expects it to be close. It's rare you see a guy in the mid-sevens projected to score around 50 DK points. That's what you have tonight. By far the Spurs' best player tonight. If this game's competitive, which I imagine it will be, it's hard to see Murray not smashing here. So top play in all formats, but cash games especially.
And I'll make a point that you like to make. He's good. He's a good player. Yeah. This is not some scrubby player that's, just filling in or something like that. Bryn Forbes of my Milwaukee Bucks used to play for this team. This is not expecting Bryn Forbes to go for 50. This is like a real good NBA player. He's an excellent rebounder for a guard. I think he's got every opportunity to walk into 20 and 10 today and just be a good play top to bottom. And he's going to be high owned, so fade at your own risk.
Agreed.
All right, next up, your favorite play of the day is your new Cavaliers stud center, Jared Allen. And to reiterate something you said a few times, did you see what Wendell Carter did against these Rockets the other day?
Yeah, exactly. Allen playing really well, coming off 2 really nice games back-to-back. Last night, you mentioned it. He didn't even seem to do anything spectacular at all. Still walked into 45 DK points. Now he gets arguably the best matchup in the NBA right now. This Rockets team without a true center. He should eat here. In another game I expect to be really competitive. Surprising to see a Rockets team that has lost, every game since the Eisenhower era, I believe you mentioned earlier. They're 4-point favorites here on the road. Vegas giving them a lot of credit. I don't care about that. I just care that this game is close. I expect it to be. Allen playing big minutes right now. I said this on the members only video, as of right now, at least my favorite play on the slate.
He's going to get love today. Like there's definitely industry love around him for good reasons, but he's not going to be like 75% owned either. So I think he falls into like that ownership range of really good for any kind of format. Chalky enough that you like him in cash games, not so chalky that you can't like him in GPPs.
Amen.
All right, next up. So let's talk about this young gun from the Detroit Pistons, Saben Lee. I don't know how much you've watched of the Pistons the last 2 games. He passes the eye test. If you're looking for a reason to continue with the Saben Lee train, who's been excellent in back-to-back games, is sub 4K, taking on a New Orleans Pelicans team that gives up plenty of points. This could be a high-octane type of DFS game. He's been very assertive, aggressive from what I've seen, and the numbers bear that out.
Yeah, he's been really, really good. A guy that, is kind of a bright spot for Detroit right now. And I don't expect anything different tonight. I mean, he's still under 4K. You kind of expect when his price increases, he's going to go up all the way to like 5,500 with the way he's playing. He's crushed value the last two games. No reason to think he wouldn't do it here against a New Orleans team that hasn't been that great defensively. Regardless of how this game plays out, he's going to get a ton of minutes. And he might not be as high owned as he should be because of the San Antonio value. He'll get love, no doubt, but maybe not as much as he should.
Agreed. There's no way he's going to go under the radar going on back-to-back 30 games, but because there are cheap pieces of San Antonio, if there was a different slate, you can see him at like 90% ownership. And today it might be more like 70, 60.
Great.
All right. Next up. So I'm going to go for a guy that you've kind of mentioned a few times lately, and that's Josh Hart of the New Orleans Pelicans. So on our long shots today, it's simply looking for other guys, sub 5K that might have some value that are going to be lower owned today because the majority of cheap plays are going to be attributed to the San Antonio Spurs for good reason. They're logical. It makes a lot of sense. I got my fingers crossed on Josh Hart right now. And the reason being, one, it's a pretty good matchup against a Detroit team that's not opposed to giving up DFS points. I'm kind of hoping Josh Hart will follow in the mold of Terrence Ross last night, who absolutely balled off the bench for the Orlando Magic, who started real slow in that game. Josh Hart is a guy who can be tough to call. And what I mean by that, he's got these random GPP upside games, and they don't always come in games where you would expect it. So it's a little bit more of an out there call from the aspect of I don't have an exact pinpoint reason to why I like him today. But I do like the idea of a Josh Hart, who is a good basketball player, who does have some really, really big games lately. And I'm going to assume is going to be very low owned tonight, as a lot of the higher owned big money players are going to be attributed to forwards, while a lot of the cheaper guys are going to go to the guard spots right here. So Josh Hart's got like three big GPP games over his last 8. And I can see where this would shape up to be another one of those games.
Agreed. New Orleans plays tomorrow. Might not be trying to give their big guys like massive amounts of minutes. He's a guy, you mentioned it, massive upside. It's weird. Like he's averaging 24 DK points a game, but it seems like that's coming from like 40s and 12s. So it's bizarre, and it's never easy to game's going to come. But that's why he's not going to get a ton of love. I like this spot tonight, and what sets up to be maybe an ugly game for New Orleans. Unfortunately, I think it gets you off the beaten path and onto a lineup build that's a little bit different.
That's a good point too. That Zion and Ingram, in a big game tomorrow, national TV against my Bucks. Let's just say New Orleans cruises, or let's say Detroit cruises in what you called the trap game earlier today. Whatever way it works out, maybe then you're kind of pushing a little extra Josh Hart and some of the bench players, knowing that you're going to want big minutes from Brandon Ingram tomorrow.
For shizzle.
All right. Next up, Dario Saric. So before I let you get into what it is you like about him, it's very similar to Josh Hart, only $1,000 cheaper in the aspect that like all of the values for most people is going to come from the Spurs today. So this is going to be off the beaten path. And the point I wanted to make is I know we haven't seen it in a while because he doesn't play really big minutes for Phoenix, but like Saric is a good basketball player. This is not some scrub for sub 4K that doesn't bring anything to the table. He's a decent shooter, not a bad rebounder. He's actually a pretty good passer for a big guy. He's a good player.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely better DFS player than 3,900. That's just his role right now on this team because they're pretty loaded. But I also look at this game as a potential spot where Phoenix rolls because they want everyone. Give Saric extra run. Even if they don't, I mean, he's playing decent minutes right now, under 4K. I love the point you mentioned because, yeah, he is a decent NBA player. When he gets run, he's going to be productive. And also agree with you. It's much like your Hart call. Kind of just gets you off the chalky value pieces that everyone's going to go to.
Right, like I think Patty Mills and a bunch of those Spurs guys, they make a lot of sense today. But it doesn't mean that they're going to ball or play well. You can see a situation where like Murray just does everything for this team. And some of those less than stellar guys, like a Trey Lyles, if Aldridge is out, for example, just doesn't do a ton. Trey Lyles comes in at high ownership and gives you 18 points, and Sarge comes in with 1/10 of the ownership, plays a few extra minutes and gets you 25 or 26, which, similar to he's done the last 2 games. And that may not seem like a lot, but how many times have you been in a GPP where 6 and 7 points could mean, doubling your money to quadrupling your money?
It's definitely a lot, especially when you're using like a bunch of other chalky pieces too.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to be way out there on every pick. It's just one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I'm with you 100%.
All right, guys, that's what we got for today. We kept it short or tight on the time. We will be here talking about some other stuff later. I think we're going to do a fantasy baseball draft and kind of start talking about the baseball season, which really isn't that far away, which I know appeals to several of you, especially the guy on the other end of this video.
It sure does.
All right, guys, thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, guys.